Eu sou Maria da Penha,
I am Maria da Penha,
vítima de violência
victim of domestic
doméstica,
violence.
que consegui, graças a
I
muita
succeeded
perseverança e
with
muita luta,
perseverance and after a
mudar
long
as leis
fight
do meu país
to
em
change the
relação
law in my
aos
country,
casos de
the
violência
law
doméstica
related to
no
domestic
Brasil.
violence in Brazil.
Eu sou cearense da cidade de
I am from
Fortaleza,
Fortaleza, Brazil.
Ceará, Brasil. Eu fui vítima de violência
I was a
doméstica
victim
no
of
ano de
domestic violence in
1983,
1983 when no
quando
women's
não
police station
existia
existed
nem ao
to
menos
attend
uma
to the cases
delegacia
on
da
domestic
mulher
violence.
para atender os casos de violência doméstica. O meu caso
My
aconteceu em
victimization occurred in
1983
1983, and the first women's
e
police
a
station
primeira
in the country
delegacia da
was
mulher
opened in
criada no país
1985.
foi no ano de 1985. Eu conheci o meu agressor,
I
que
met
se
my
tornou meu
aggressor,
marido,
who became my husband, at the
quando eu
University of
estava na
Sao Paulo
Universidade de
while
São
I was
Paulo
studying for
fazendo
my
mestrado.
master's degree.
Eu sou farmacêutica
I am a
bioquímica
pharmaceutical biochemist.
e eu o
I met him
conheci
through
através
friends
de
we had in
amigos
common.
comuns.
We became friends,
Nós nos
and in time
tornamos
we married.
amigos e com o tempo
And my first daughter was
casamos.
born
Minha
in Sao
primeira filha
Paulo.
nasceu em São Paulo.
When I
Quando eu
finished my
terminei meu
master's,
mestrado,
I
retornei para minha
returned to my
cidade, a
hometown,
Fortaleza.
Fortaleza,
Ele nos acompanhou.
and my husband
E
went with us.
então
He
aqui
obtained
ele
his
conseguiu a sua
naturalization here,
naturalização.
after
E a
which point
partir
I
de
could no
então,
longer recognize him.
eu não mais o reconheci, aquela
He went
pessoa
from being a
companheira
companion and a friend
transformou-se
into a
num
torturer.
algoz. Eu não sabia mais como lidar com aquela relação.
I didn't know how I could
Pedi
continue in that
muitas vezes
relationship.
uma separação,
I asked for a
mas ele
separation
sempre
many times,
recusou.
but he
E eu
always
não podia
refused,
enfrentar
and I
uma
couldn't confront
separação
him.
litigiosa
I couldn't
numa
face a litigious
situação que ele estava
separation
vivendo.
with a man who was
Altamente
highly
agressor,
aggressive,
até com as
even
próprias
with his own
filhas.
daughters.
Nós vivíamos
We
uma
lived a
violência
life filled with physical and
psicológica muito
psychological
intensa
violence,
e eu não
and I could
tinha
not get out of that
como
relationship
sair daquela relação, porque na época
because at that time
eu me
I
espelhei
saw
muito no
myself
que acontecia
in what
na época.
happened.
As mulheres eram assassinadas
Women
quando
were killed
tentavam
when they
sair
tried to
de
leave
uma
a
relação
violent
violenta.
relationship.
E os advogados
And
de
defense
defesa
lawyers
alegavam
always
sempre
claimed that an assassination was a result of a violent emotion,
aquele assassinato ocorreu
or because the
por conta de uma
perpetrator
violenta
couldn't
emoção,
accept the separation
por
because
conta
he
que
loved the woman too
que
much.
o autor do homicídio não se conformou,
These
amava
apologies were
demais aquela
accepted
mulher.
in the courts.
Então, essas desculpas eram aceitas nos
In general,
tribunais
the
e
aggressor got
geralmente
away
o
without
agressor
penalty.
saía sem nenhuma pena. O casamento continuou.
One day,
Um
I woke
dia
up
eu
having
acordei
been
com um
shot
tiro
in
nas
my back.
costas.
I was in
Por conta
hospital
dessa
for 4
agressão,
months. When I
eu
returned
fiquei
from the
hospitalizada
hospital,
4
I was kept
meses.
in
Quando eu
forced confinement
voltei do
for 15
hospital,
days.
eu fui mantida em cárcere privado por 15 dias. Período em
During
que
this
eu
time, I
consegui
obtained a
uma
judicial
autorização
authorization to leave my
judicial
home
para
so I could
sair
avoid a
de
charge of
casa,
abandonment
para evitar que fosse
and risk
considerada
losing the
abandono de
custody
lar e
of
eu
my
perdesse a
daughters.
guarda das minhas filhas. Durante esses 15 dias que eu fiquei
During the 15 days of
em
forced
cárcere
confinement,
privado, eu
I
sofri
suffered
uma
a
segunda
second
tentativa
murder
de
attempt
homicídio
through an electric
através
shower,
de chuveiro elétrico
which was
propositalmente
intentionally damaged,
danificado.
but which I noticed in
Mas
time.
eu percebi isso a tempo e o fato não se concretizou. Quando
When I got back to
com
my
meus
parents'
pais, com
house
meus
with my
filhos,
daughters,
a Secretaria de
the
Segurança
Secretary
do
of
Estado
Public
mexicano,
Safety investigating my aggression case
a minha
concluded that the
agressão,
shot I received while I was sleeping
chegou à
was
conclusão
discharged
que o
by
tiro
my
que eu
own
havia
husband.
recebido. Por
He
duas
was
vezes
condemned
ele foi
twice,
condenado,
but he was freed by the courts due to legal
em
technicalities.
liberdade por conta de recursos. Recursos
Because
esses
of this injustice of the
protelatórios.
judiciary, I
Então,
decided to write a book
devido a essa
where I told
injustiça
my life
declarada pelo
history
judiciário,
and exposed the process of all that happened during the trial.
minha história de vida
including the first day of the first trial.
O processo todo o processo que estava
The book
acontecendo.
ended up in the offices of two NGOs.
Primeiro julgamento. No caso, esse livro chegou ao conhecimento de duas ONGs nacionais.
Both were quite connected to the International Committee of the Organization of American States.
Muito bem relacionadas no Comitê Interamericano da OEA.
This process of the OAS took 4 years to finish.
4 anos para ser finalizado. E a partir,
At the end of the process, Brazil was criticized for the negligent manner in which domestic violence cases were handled in the country, for the high cases of impunity granted to the aggressors, and for the lack of commitment towards women's causes related to domestic violence. And therefore, there was an obligation to change the law in the country. And in this condemnation, several recommendations were made. One of those was to offer me a symbolic reparation. That's why the law, number 11.340, sanctioned in August 2006, bears my name, Maria da Penha Law. The main goal of the Maria da Penha Law is not to punish men, but to punish aggressive men. The aggressive man is the one that does not treat his wife as a human being with the dignity she deserves. So the mission of the Maria da Penha Law is to guarantee a future free of violence for our daughters and granddaughters and all of our descendants. This is the only way we are going to have a culture of peace in the world. Because if we don't have peace inside our own houses, how can we guarantee this peace at the global level?